Okay, welcome everybody to our team call tonight. We do this for our challengers on Sunday nights, and this is our chance for our coaches from different parts of the team to get together and kind of teach and pour into and help out the other challenge groups. And so this is something we provide for all of our challengers in our team. And tonight, Megan and her husband Jake are going to talk. She's going to interview him. But before she talks to him, she's going to talk a little bit about using Ultimate Portion Fix, which is one of the two nutrition programs. There's 2B Mindset and there's Ultimate Portion Fix. And she's actually done them both. But tonight she's going to talk about Ultimate Portion Fix. So I'm going to mute myself and let her take it away. Thank you, Jake, for joining us. You don't usually join us for this, except in the background. So it's nice to have you.
There's a man on our call.
Well, and he's been rocking his fitness journey and doing so well. And I'm so impressed to see him all over the place doing all of the awesome stuff that he's doing with his fitness. So this is great. I'm so glad to have you.
True, my feet make a regular appearance in these calls in the background. Normally I'm a recliner, so.
Yeah, so before we talk about Jake's journey, I just wanted to share a little bit. When I first started with Beachbody at all, I was like, I'm not going to use those containers. So I have a history of disordered eating, and like the idea of the containers, I was like, control, trigger, like bad. So I kind of like put them off every once in a while, like kind of try them. And at that point it was just like the portion fix. And then when 2B Mindset came out, I was like, this is great. Like it's very intuitive, but gives really good guidelines. And I loved it. Like after I had my second baby, lost all my baby weight plus some with that and fitness, and enjoyed that a lot. So after I had Jude, he's 5 months old, I was struggling with the intuitive eating part of 2B Mindset. I don't think I was eating enough. And it was just kind of causing me to plateau, which was very different in my experience after having Callan. So I looked into Ultimate Portion Fix because with the 2B Mindset Challenge Pack and Completion Pack, you get both nutrition plans. So I was like, okay, I have it. I'm going to watch these videos and learn about it. If for anything else, it's going to help the people who come to me who need help. And this might be what they need. But she has a specific breastfeeding guideline in there. And so I started using it and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to eat way more than I was eating, like way more. And it wasn't just vegetables, like it was all the things. And the organization and the structure of it actually gave me so much freedom. And I think that when I was trying to do like the intuitive eating, my worry about like losing weight too like quickly and getting comfortable in my body was tripping me up. And so to be able to know that I can eat all these things, and she even says in there, if you have watched the Ultimate Portion Fix videos, in the I don't remember what it's called, but like the traditional track, she says you should schedule in like 2 to 3 treats a week. And they're portion fix treats, but like in 2B Mindset, it's like treat yourself when you feel like it. And I was like, okay, on time, or like never. And so like, I didn't have like I wasn't in a good place to make that choice. And so to have that like structured in really helps me, gives me a lot of freedom. So yeah, it's been really good. I really do like that I have both, available to me, and I know about both, because I do think that there'll probably will be a season where 2B Mindset will serve me again. But yeah, if you are struggling and you're worried about the containers, maybe give it a shot, because it gave me a lot more freedom than I thought. And I don't feel like I have to like portion everything out ahead of time. I just write down what I need. My containers are within an eye shot of me. So I eyeball what the portion is, and I just kind of like check off the boxes as I go throughout my day and look at what I need to eat so that my meals are balanced. It's not just like, a huge carb snack or like only vegetables. That did happen one day. I had to eat so many baby carrots. It was miserable. But yeah, it's a lot easier than I thought, and a lot more freedom is associated with it.
And if you look at the containers, when I received them in the mail, I was like, oh, no, that's so small. There's no way I'm eating those stinky little containers. I am so hungry all the time with the workouts I do and the stuff I do. And then you fill the container up and you're like, whoa, that's a lot of protein. That's a ton of vegetables. You can fit I know this because I've done it. You can fit an entire head of romaine lettuce chopped up in the green container.
Yes, a lot of lettuce. And
shove it in there and it fits the whole thing. It's so much food. So when I looked at them, I was like, no, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to use these containers. This is ridiculous. And I use them every day, all day long. And I've done 2B Mindset, and I use some of the guidelines with that she encourages with taking your FFCs in the morning, in the afternoon, instead of in the evening, and some of those things. But I really do think that if you're struggling with not eating enough, which is also where I was looking at it going, I'm not, and I wouldn't eat enough food on 2B Mindset because I kept thinking I was eating enough and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I went to the containers and I was like, oh, look at all this food I get to eat. This is amazing. I love it. And so.
Yeah. And I think when I did 2B Mindset after Callan, like my plate at portions, I was eating a ton because as I was learning, I was like, I need to have so many vegetables because I have to outnumber what I want to eat in my carbs, my FFCs, and my protein. And so I was eating a ton. And this time, for some reason, my mindset was just in a different place. It's just different.
And it's good to have that flexibility so you can go back and forth because one might serve you in one season and one might serve you in another. And you just have to keep being flexible and know that none of them are perfect and you get to pick and choose when you want to use which one you want to use. But you can't use them all a little bit. You got to kind of pick one.
Yeah, commit.
Use them all a little bit. You'll just eat treats. You'll be like, I got to have 3 treats with this, and then 2B Mindset said I could have treats there, and so you kind of have to pick. But when you pick, then you have that freedom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's great.
Yeah. So that is Ultimate Portion Fix in my experience. And tonight I am going to interview Jake. So I've been coaching for 3 years, over 3 years now. And Jake's been along for the ride. It's definitely started as like this is the thing I'm doing to take care of myself. I started after I had our first kid and I was like, I just need something. And I also wanted to inspire other people. So I started as a coach right away. But yeah, it's influenced Jake and he's really surprised me in the strides he's taken. And he's had a really phenomenal transformation. And so I just want him to share with you guys what it's like. And I just want him to be like as authentic and real as possible. Because I think there's a beauty in hearing somebody's story when you get to hear the baby steps that they took and like the influence that they received. And also like, and I hope you do share like the not doing all the things all at once. Because Jake doesn't do all the things all at once, but he's still having a phenomenal transformation. And he is taking care of himself. And that's really what it's about, is like finding what works for you at your pace and not giving up, because being healthy is about your entire life. It's not just a quick fix. It's not a diet. This isn't something we're here for 21 days. This is your life. And I just think he's such a good example of that. So who are you, Jake?
It's such a weird question. First, I want to start with Megan tricked me into this. The other day she goes, hey, you want to help me with my call? I was like, sure, why not? And so I actually had a work thing and I like moved my schedule around. And then I was like, so what did you need me to do? She goes, oh, you're going to share your story. And I'm like, Oh, like
This is what you hear when you're playing Pokemon Go instead of listening to your wife.
priorities. See, Angie knows how it is. I'm just saying, okay? I made friends on Pokemon Go. Yeah. So
Are you playing while you're listening?
so
There's going to be a quiz.
me and Megan have been married for 5 years. I am a youth minister actually, so there's a lot of unhealthiness and pizza involved in my life. But pizza on pizza. I've been doing this for about 4 years. Before that, we lived in Alaska. I worked at Belmont Abbey College for a couple of years doing student activities and just kind of been all over the place. And so this is kind of our first place that we really like settled down for more than 2 years, which is nice, and kind of get settled. But yeah, it's been a journey. I know Megan's got a series of questions, so I don't know what all you want me to tell them.
You're a dad of 3. If people, there's some people that aren't in my challenge. They might not know.
So yeah, we have 3 little boys. They're little mini me's. They like me more than Megan. It's just how it is, and it's true. Yeah, so that's probably like my biggest thing. I grew up with 2 brothers and a little sister, so for me, like having 3 boys to start, which is amazing, and like I'm the youngest out of my brothers, so you know, Jude, our youngest. We named our kids the same thing, Killian and Callan. I don't know why we did that, but we did. Just to confuse us for the rest of our life. But it's funny, I get Callan and Jude mixed up more than anything else. But
yeah, same here.
Yeah, I grew up in South Carolina. You know,
Southern boy
through and through.
So that's a great way to end your intro, because my first question is, what was health or healthy living like for you growing up?
It wasn't. No, I'm just kidding. So we growing up, my parents separated when I was really young, and then after that, it was kind of, my mom worked all the time, so whatever we could grab was kind of our meals, you know, or we would you know, whatever my brothers made for us, or you know, she had a moment. She was a nurse, and then she turned into a teacher. So there's a lot of times where she just was on the go, working a lot. And so it was really a lot of just getting our own stuff. I love McDonald's. I love Burger King. I still love Burger King. It's weird, I know. Nobody likes Burger King.
Until 5 minutes later.
Until, yeah, half an hour later, and then I regret it. But yeah, and then when I got into high school, I actually was a wrestler for all 4 years of high school, which is a super unhealthy way of living. So it was a lot of like, I would eat a ton and then cut a ton of weight. And it was a lot of, you know, running around with sweats on, wrestling with sweats on. But then after our matches, we'd go to the all-you-could-eat Chinese buffet and eat as much as we possibly could, because that's just how it was. And, you know, I thought that was healthy because, you know, I would lose during wrestling season 20 pounds sometimes. In my senior year, I started at 200 and ended up at 165. And so I was like, all right, this is great. Like, this is how you lose weight. But the problem was I'd always get back up to 200. And that slowly caught up to me as I went off to college, because once you don't do that and you don't cut weight, you just gain weight. And so when I went to college, all that kind of just stayed on. Still had the unhealthy habits. I'd eat a bunch, and the way I thought I had to lose weight was just cut my meals, and, you know, run a little bit. I've always been a sports guy, so I love doing sports, and so always being active helped. But, you know, when your life changes, you become an adult, you don't stay active as much. So it's harder to find those pockets where you can actually stay fit, do exercise, because you based your whole exercise off of, for me, it was based off, you know, playing soccer. Or when I got to college, we played Frisbee almost every day. So I was running or doing something every day. But once I cut that, and I was supposed to be responsible. I wasn't responsible, but supposed to be responsible, it made it very difficult. So.
Okay, so as an adult, what were some things after you either graduated from college or just moved out from living with your mom that you did, like in the moments that you did try to be healthier?
So, I mean, there's a standard, you know, you as a dude, you're like, you got to go to the gym and lift weights. Like that's how it is. Like, I'm going to go to the gym and lift weights, which, you know, if you only do that like once a week, it's not great. Maybe if you do it every day, it's great. So actually when I moved to Alaska right out of college to be a youth minister up there. And the first thing I did was buy a gym membership. And it was cool because when I bought it, I got 3 free trainers. That was the only 3 times I went to the gym.
Which is crazy because gyms in Alaska are like 5 times as much expensive than they are.
It was fine. I mean, it was on a credit card. It was fine. These are the regrets that we have from before we were married, but it's fine.
I had them on strict credit card rules.
We'll talk about that later. So we, so I would go to the gym, but like, that was the only time I went. And then my other exercise, I would always be like, oh, well, I ran with the kids today, or like, at youth group, we did this, or, I walked to work today. It's totally fine. That's my exercise. And so I would keep basing my health off that. And I felt like I was staying healthy. And I've always been like the big guy. Like, I'm not like, I've never been huge. I've gotten pretty big in my life, but I've always been a bigger guy. Like, and that's just how I was. So I always owned it. Like, oh, I'm the big guy. It's fine. It's fine. But the more and more I kind of lessened my health, I felt that it was getting worse, and I could tell it was getting worse. And like the times where I would go play Frisbee with my friends, and then I'm like running down the field and like, oh my gosh, like I always enjoyed the fact when people would see me run and be like, oh, you're fast for a big guy. I'm like, yeah. But then you have to also realize you're the big guy, and like that's the problem. It's like you could be fast, so you could do these things without being that, which is interesting. So so I tried to be healthy in a lot of ways, but it just nothing ever clicked for me. As my schedule got too busy, things just kind of got overrun. I love food, and the more I've learned about myself is like, food is something I've always had control over, so I would just eat whatever. And then when I tried to lose weight, I would just basically like cut my meal size, or I'd just eat like chicken and rice, and that's all I would eat, chicken and rice. And then like skip breakfast, chicken and rice for lunch, chicken and rice for dinner. And that's how I felt I was being healthy. That was the best way I could do it. And I did a fundraiser when I was in Alaska, and I cut like 30 pounds. I was like, this is great. And then I gained it all back within like 2 months after cutting it. So it was like no good. So.
Okay. So that kind of answers my next question, which was like, what was your belief of like what it meant to be healthy? So just like losing weight was like,
yeah, like the number on the scale to me was always the thing. Like I've never considered even now, like I don't consider myself as like a fit dude. Like I'm not like, you see these guys like Shaun T jacked, or like those guys where you in those videos you're like that's fit dude. Like to me I'm just a guy that likes to play sports and exercise, and like the number on the scale is what I have to worry about. And there's reasons for me, and this goes in more, and I don't know if this goes in any other questions, but for me, what happened was when I went to the doctor, and the doctor was just like, look, you're getting up there. Like, you need to start losing weight. And I had gotten up to about 290 at one point in my life. And that was where the change really started to occur. I was like, holy smokes. Like, I felt like I was doing all right. But then when I saw that number and I went to the doctor's like, look, you got to change. Like, I was like, oh, okay. But I still like didn't fully commit, which was really hard for me.
Was that right when we had Callan?
So right when we had Callan, right when I had Callan, the day we actually went to the hospital for Megan giving birth, that morning I was in the hospital because I had a bunch of health issues that morning. And I went to the doctor, and they're like, you have really high blood pressure. We thought I had some other issues, I had pains in my stomach, things like that. And I was like, holy smokes, like, all right, this is enough. Like, I need to actually like change something. But even that, like, it was like one of those things where I was like, I changed for a few months. I felt healthier, then I went back to my old lifestyle. And that was 2 years ago. I mean, Callan's 2 now, and I didn't change anything after him. And he's almost exactly 2 years from Jude, which is kind of crazy to think. But yeah, it was just a lot of like things that kind of kept popping up. I was like, okay, I need to be different. I need to change. And I never felt comfortable. My back was hurting, my legs were hurting, things like that. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what were your initial thoughts about your own health when I started health coaching? I actually don't know what he's going to say.
When Megan first started health coaching, my first thought was, don't you dare try to do. Actually, we've had this conversation multiple times. Is like, I'm your husband, you're not my coach. Like that's like the number one thing. I'm your husband, you're not my coach. I would say for the most part, we kind of still keep that. She'll motivate me.
Now it's just like a suggestion.
Yeah. I don't even think you suggest it anymore. I think I'm just that good. But I'm just kidding. And so but yeah, it was a lot of like when she started doing, I was like, I'm all for it, but like this is how I live. Like, don't. I mean, I'll change some things, but I'm like, and I remember I think I tried like 21 day. What was it?
Oh, you did a clean week workout. One clean week.
No, I did one, but like I did the extreme version, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like,
he was like, I'll try 21 day fix, and he didn't know there was an like 21 day fix extreme, so he did 21 day fix extreme day 1, and he was like,
I was like, this is
We're done here.
This is the worst workout I've ever had in
it's
my life.
hard.
Like, and then she's like, yeah, well, because you did the wrong one. And I was like, you didn't tell me how to work the, on demand here. Like, and so I like kind of got turned off, and like I don't think I did a workout again until we moved here. And then she bought Transform 20, and I was like, oh, I'll do it with you. And even then I was like, okay, I'll do it with you. But I say I finished Transform 20 the first time. I actually never did. I did like 3 days a week, and then that was me finishing it. Like I did 3 days a week. It was great. And I did all 6 weeks, so it was fine. But it was like the reality, like now looking back, it's like, no, I didn't actually do it. Like I did like the cop out way. Like, all right, I say cop out way for me because like if I don't commit to something, I know, like I knew I could do 6 days, but I was like, no, I don't need to do all of those days. I only need a few days to get a little bit healthier. And then I was like,
well, it's interesting you shared like before you'd be like, oh, if I did some like athletic thing or like walk to work, like that was my workout. Because when you did Transform 20 with me that time, you would be like, oh, I coached volleyball tonight. Like I don't need to work out.
yeah.
So you kind
That's
of
true.
held on to that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and that was the other side too, is like over the past 3 years, I coached middle school soccer and middle school volleyball. And once, you start not being able to do the things with the kids on the court and on the field, you're like, oh shoot, like I need to get back into somewhat of a shape. So
Somewhat of a shape.
a shape that's not circular.
Okay, well, how has my transformations and my journey and what I've learned changed your perspective on taking care of yourself and kind of like your philosophy of health?
What's interesting is I think for me, like, I don't know, everybody's husbands or significant others, like for me, the biggest change that I saw was not necessarily the exercising portion. It was actually the eating part. Because for like me, like food, like I said, food is something I've always had control over, but like there's a rule in our house, and I've said this since the moment we're married, is like, I work a lot, and if whatever's there, like whatever you want to make it, like I'll eat it. Like I'm here, I'm coming home, like I'll eat whatever's there. And so, just the way she changed her cooking, like changed it completely how I started to eat. And like and like the things we bought, like I couldn't just go in the fridge and, eat whatever. And we don't keep ice cream in our house on a regular basis because it doesn't last long enough. But it's just like, we like have carrots and things like that. Like that's the only things I can really eat when I come home. And so those things actually ended up changing for me the most because, I saw her working out, but I was like, not doing that. But the food, like it was part of our habit. It was something that was part of our complete lifestyle. Like I had to eat the things that were bought, like, and now I do the grocery shopping. And so I buy the things that we have to eat now. So we do get a lot more sweets. But
just when you run out to the grocery store and buy ice cream on a whim.
Yeah. Regular
It happens.
Yeah.
Like once a week. It's fine. That's one of my treats. Okay. Okay, cool. Did you have more to say about that?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, so share with us about how your habits have changed this time. Like you finished Transform 20 this time. You did it all on your own.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you to do it. I didn't do that program. I had just birthed a child. I was not working out. So you like talk to us about that and also touch on how, like, why the heck did you choose to commit to that? Like, I guess taking it more seriously the day we came home from the hospital.
Because I'm not right in the head. That's the correct.
Because most people will say, I had this big life change. It's not something I can handle right now.
Quarantine's happening, pandemic, why do something now? So like I said, I've always kind of like taken the easy way out for myself with exercise, especially because I always had a reason not to. But I think for me, like having, third boy, I got to a point, I was at that point when we started, I was probably over 270 pounds. And I was like not doing anything, not getting up out of the seat. I went to the hospital, and just being at the hospital and, struggling through sleeping on, the couches, things like that, but also just being uncomfortable with myself. My clothes were all tight. I was just not in a good place mentally. And I knew that since we had the baby, I knew I was going to be home. And I was like, okay, like if I'm going to be home, like I might as well take advantage of this time. Like I was working from home. Nothing changed. So I was like, you know what? I can do 20 minutes a day. Like 20 minutes a day is something simple. I can take 20 minutes of my day and say, okay, I'm going to do it here. And I scheduled it in my day every single day. I was like, all right, Meg, this is when I'm going to work out. And no matter what, I would get up and do it. And I found that I needed to do that. And I needed to set that time aside, because like, if I didn't tell myself that, the day before, the week before, then I would never do it. And I actually, it's funny when we talk about this, my transformation or my changes in how I've lived, is I actually did none of the nutrition at first, because we had because we had a baby and nobody could provide us meal. They gave us gift cards. So I was eating
We did.
town. It was great. I mean, I had
Or we
whatever I
didn't.
wanted.
I don't think you.
I had there's one night I had to have like 20 wings from that. When my mom was like, just
a lot of. They're grilled.
like they're grilled,
Not
yeah,
fried.
just covered in sauce. It's great. But for me, like I wasn't doing the eating part, but I was like, I can at least start with this. Like I can start doing this. And so the Monday we got back, Megan had the baby on Friday. We got back Sunday night, and Monday I started my workouts. And that was 23 weeks ago that I started my workouts. And I haven't missed a Monday
5
through
months
Friday
ago.
since.
Yeah.
And so I now don't work out on Saturday or Sunday just because they're so busy, and Monday through Friday. But I started that habit right then because I knew, I was like, look, I'm going to be home. We're stuck at home. We're quarantined. Like I can fit this in my day. And if I start making it part of my schedule and part of like having a purpose within my schedule and creating a purpose for why I needed this, then I know I'm going to continue this. And so I did it. I did Transform 20 Monday through Saturday. And then after that, I listened to a friend, and I shouldn't have. And I did Total Max 30, Insanity Max 30, which is not an easy workout, especially if you've only been working out for 6 weeks. And I did that one Monday through Saturday, even to the point where we were on vacation, and I've never done this before. And I went downstairs to work out by myself. And I'm one of those, I actually don't like when people like you can even, Megan's like, okay now, but like, I don't like when people watch me work out. I don't like when it's
before.
And like, I get very anxious, which is funny because Megan posts like videos or pictures of me, and or I post pictures of myself, but like, I actually don't like it all the time because it makes me feel very self-conscious, and I find myself getting more frustrated because I'm like, I'm not doing this right. Or I'm not strong enough in this point, but the purpose was like, I just had to get up each day and push play. I had to push play, go do what I needed to do. And then once I was done, I was done. And for me, like, it's funny is a lot of people are like, oh, well, what program should I do, this or that? Because I've had friends come and talk to me about it. And I'm like, look, for me, like my programs only last 30 minutes. And the reason why is because I know I can dedicate 30 minutes. And I can't get in a program that's going to take me an hour or 45 minutes sometimes, just because the reality is I know like that's going to give me more problems throughout my day. I'm going to have to get up early. I'm going to change my schedule, but I know I can give at least 30 minutes a day. And I focus on that. And so now it's funny is like, I was more of a night owl. Like Megan would go to bed and I would sit up and just watch Netflix for days because that's who I am. And that was my escape. And my schedule's completely flipped and I'm falling asleep while she's watching Netflix. And
there's just this one show that I really like right now.
We're not talking about your show right now. And I now get up at 5:30 every morning just so I can get my workout in before I take my son to school.
Since Killian started school.
Yeah, and it's just, I was like, if I don't do it now, then I'm never going to do it because in the evenings I coach middle school volleyball. And so like, I'll never have a time to do it unless I do it at night or first thing in the morning. But I had to have a purpose. Like I was at a point where if I don't continue this, like I know where my health is going to be. My whole family struggles with, weight and things like that. I have family members that have diabetes. I have family members that have high blood pressure. My grandpa passed away from heart disease. So it's like, these things are
Everyone
realities
has
that
high
I have to
cholesterol.
actually do. And it's like, all right, I could just, not do these things and possibly not be here for my children, or I could do these things. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading the question.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you tell her you were going to do it, or did you just do it?
I think you answered that. Like, he set the expectation.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like, I'm gonna work out at this time, and I'm starting this. So he told me what to expect, which is really helpful. If you are just starting your journey, to give your family or the people you live with an expectation, because sometimes it was hard. Like, oh, you have to work out right now. Like, can't you just like hold the baby for a second? But I had to respect that he already told me that, and I had to, honor that. So I think just a tidbit there. How would you suggest we encourage family to work out?
I think that's one of the hardest things, because I think, I don't know, I like I said, I work with youth, and so like, a person's physical appearance, the way that they look at themselves, like I even tell people nowadays, like when I look at myself in the mirror, I still see the fat kid. Like, that's who I am. And so for me, working out and eating is such a personal thing. And it's something that I, for a long time, never had control over. And now, like, I'm starting to get control over it. But when Megan would tell me, like, hey, you should work out, I was like, well, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Is that a problem? So it's such a hard thing to say, how do you encourage people?
Mm-hmm.
I would say the greatest encouragement, was seeing Megan work out every day. And then she did invite, like, it was more of an invitation of like, hey, do you want to try this with me? Do you want to try this? Hey, maybe we should try out this program. And it was funny is that the reason why I started to do it was that she's like, hey, like, I was seeing her business, grow. And for me, I was like, okay, like, if I want to see her be successful, like, how awesome would it be to see the big guy husband actually make a change for himself and like actually motivate himself and like push forward, like, because like I wanted to support her in some way. And it wasn't something she asked of me to do, but it's something I was like, okay, if I'm going to support her, like, this is how I'm going to do it. And like I said, I still see the fat kid in the mirror. So like, for me, it's like looking in the mirror and saying, okay, there's still changes I have to be. I never expect myself to be back to my weight when I was wrestling and small guy, muscles bulging or anything like that. That never happened. I never had muscles bulging. I don't know why I said that, because it's just not a reality with me.
It's your dream.
It's my dream, I like to pretend I have a six pack. I sometimes draw it on. No, but I just want to be in a place where like I can run around with my kids. And that was the other side, is like, if I'm too tired in the day because I go through my day and at the end of the day I can't do anything with my kids, then that's an unhealthy form of living. And that's where the biggest changes had to be made. So
there's just something I wanted to share that you didn't touch on, but Jake says like he didn't do the nutrition part for like he's not doing nutrition, but there's been so much change in the way that he eats. For example, when we lived in Alaska, every single meal he ate out in the restaurant.
that's not true. I had bowls of cereal at home.
Yeah, a bowl of
Frosted
cereal
Flakes were my
at home.
jam.
Guys, a bowl this big of Frosted Flakes. Like, he's so different. He was addicted to Dr. Pepper. That was the only beverage he drank. The only beverage.
I would drink probably 2 ounce cups of Dr. Pepper a day. I would go to what we call Parker's here, and they had the quick 89-cent drinks, 32 ounce, and I'd drink those. And I drank twice as much Dr. Pepper than I did water. And like 2 years ago, I was just like, my New Year's resolution was to give up Dr. Pepper, and I haven't had one since. Like, and it was just like,
right. But you knew you could do it. And I think this is important to note. We did Whole30 before I started with Beachbody, and you can't have soda on Whole30. It's very strict. And you didn't have, I think it was a couple months you didn't, but then you slipped back into it. So I think like something to note in your journey is that you did take these little steps, and I think they showed you like, I did that, I can do this. I did that, I can do this.
And my struggle was always like, when I would give up Dr. Pepper for Lent, like every single year. And like the issue was I'd be like, oh, I'll just have one, I'll be fine. And then the habits would just develop again. It was the same thing when I would work out. It's the same thing I find myself now. Like the other day I went and grabbed some food and I was like, oh, I'll just grab some more food the other day. And then I realized that I'm following these habits. And like she said, I used to eat out every single meal. I mean, when we lived here, I would be like, I'm just going to grab something cheap. And when you grab something cheap, it's normally Burger King or McDonald's. And I don't even like McDonald's. Like, it's gross. And like, I don't even enjoy it when I eat it. But like, I'm like, oh, it's convenient. I'll go grab some. Like, why not? But I don't enjoy it. And I would eat that stuff and just feel disgusting afterwards. And I just don't know why. When I was in high school, and this is something where I would get 3 double cheeseburgers, a large fry, and a large Dr. Pepper. And that was like my meal. And like now I can barely eat 1 double cheeseburger from McDonald's. And that's only because it's disgusting. I hope McDonald's doesn't ever see me saying this.
They're hacking into our Zoom.
See, these leaks, Angie, this is what you were talking about earlier.
Okay, probably true.
Just kidding.
But I think what Megan said was important, and what you've shown us is important. It's that all those little baby steps that you've taken, even if you've gone forward and then back a half a step and forward and back a half a step, you are light years from where you were in Alaska of eating out every meal and not working out at all. Even if you only worked out 3 days a week and then you started working out 5 days a week, like, it's light years from the unhealthy eating and the wrestling, which was, I dated a wrestler. Like, he spit into a cup all day long and wore a hoodie and like tried to lose weight by water weight. And then as soon as they did the weigh-in, would eat a ton of food. Like, it's super unhealthy the way that they lose weight and gain it back, but everything's focused on the scale.
Mhm.
And I mean, I know you guys don't even, at least for a long time, didn't even have a scale.
Yeah.
You didn't even have a scale. And
So
I
when
couldn't
I
even get you to do measurements.
Look what we have. A tape measurer.
So so when I started
Because it's hard. Sometimes you have to have a way to quantify because you feel like you're not making progress because you still see the big dude.
yeah.
And you need to know that you might see one thing, but what everybody else sees is all this progress. And we see so many changes.
Yeah.
And I've seen it in only the couple of years that I've known Megan. But it's hard for your brain to catch up with what your body looks like. And it doesn't process that. Like, it still sees what you think you did look like.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's interesting
So,
is that when I
it's good
started
to have
Transform 20, we actually didn't even, like I said, we didn't have a scale, which was hard for me because people were like, oh, how much weight have you like lost? Which, I mean, it's always a question people like,
Other people
can actually
think that
tell
way
and like,
too.
have you lost a lot of weight? And I'm like, yeah, I have, but I don't actually know the exact, like we didn't get a scale until 2 weeks into Total Max 30. And I didn't take measurements or anything like that till this program, which I did. Angie, you're welcome. I finally took measurements, but I mean, I had weighed myself. And so I know, like, you know, I know where I was around, but I was like, but at the same time, it's about how I feel and like where I was at. And it's funny is the one thing this is the weird fear and it's just an excuse I had. I always like crazy excuses. Like, I don't want to lose weight because then I got to buy new clothes. And now I'm at the point where I have to buy new clothes. So I'm like, shoot, like that's a reality now, which is great. But at the same time, I'm like now I got to go do that. Like it's not frustrating, but it is. And my boss even joked today because he's somebody that struggles a little bit too with these things. But like he was joking, he's like, well, you can just do what I do and just gain all it back.
Well, and I think that's why a lot of times people don't want to buy the clothes is because they're scared that they will.
Yeah.
That's probably my
But like, you buy the clothes and you've made the commitment, like, I did this thing, see, I did it. And that's an important step because you're making a commitment to being who you are now, not who you were in Alaska.
yeah.
It's hard.
And I also think, like, especially with what you're saying, like, you're motivated by that why. Like, a lot of times when we go on like a weight loss journey, we get so caught up on the progress that's happening that if it's not constant forward motion, that's why we stop and never start again. Whereas like you kept being like, I need to do this. I need to do this for a bigger reason than just even body image, even like what the number says on the scale. And that, like, I think over time has helped you commit and recommit.
And it's kind of crazy. You don't always know like the people you impact or the people that kind of see these things. And we, I've had like 4 or 5 friends just reach out to me. They're like, hey, what are you doing? And I have 2 friends actually that do Beachbody programs with me. But then I also have just friends that are like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, I'm just really proud to see what you're doing. And it's even funny is, like I said, I worked at Belmont College. I have students that have actually reached out to me and like, I'm so impressed with what you're doing. My 7th grade social studies teacher follows me on Instagram and like reached out to me and was like, hey, like, and like always just puts like a smiley face or a heart or something, like just like something he liked about that I posted on each week. And just like, which is kind of crazy to think, you know, and he was a PE teacher too. And he like, it's kind of cool to see those people that you haven't been connected to, but are noticing things. And like I said, I think somebody said is like up above is like, when I go to work, like people say, oh, you've lost weight. And I don't always notice it. Even though the clothes fit differently, like to me, like I don't always see it, but I have to remind myself that there is a change. And like when people notice it, like that's a positive, like they're seeing there's a change. And people ask me like, what have you done? And it's an opportunity for you to share, like you to, you know, I work for the church. So I always think of like an opportunity to witness, like you'll be able to witness to a change or transformation in your life that they might not ever get a chance to see or to hear about again. And so taking an opportunity to change that, and it's not trying to like, you know, be somebody you're not. It's just saying like, oh yeah, this is what I did. Like, and you know, the joke right now is everybody I talk to is like, well, you did the opposite because everybody else gained 15 pounds during the pandemic. And I'm like, yeah, but like,
15.
I was like, yeah, I just like didn't want that. Like, I've been down that road. I've sat on my butt long enough. So.
Well, and it sounds like you changed both your relationship with your scale, which you would have had a different one when you were in high school when you were wrestling.
Yeah.
So your relationship with your scale is now more for information, more of like that to be mindset information just to give you data. But also the idea of being able to witness as your body as a temple of the Holy Spirit and being able to say, look, I'm treating my body with respect and I'm showing my family and my boys how to treat their body and how to take care of themselves so they can be there for their family as a dad. That's an amazing witness that you've been able to kind of embrace and take on just since COVID started. That's great.
Yeah, and have you ever seen our kids that they're allowed to keep up with? I don't know if you guys ever seen climbing or running or jumping or punching each other. So wrestling.
Yes.
It's definitely it keeps us on our toes. So it's something I felt like I needed. So
every time Megan gets on a call, one of them climbs on a table or something in the background.
Yesterday?
Oh,
I don't know. It must have been yesterday.
Not even kidding you. Like I can't lay on the ground now. So when I started working out, there's a lot of push-ups in Sean T because he loves squats and push-ups because he's a psychopath sometimes.
Yes.
So
burpees, squats,
I probably shouldn't
push-ups.
say that. I apologize on these calls. Like, no, Sean T's great. I don't know what to.
We
So,
all know.
My kids have now gotten to the point where they climb on my back during it, which is great. Except when you're like halfway through your workout, and you're like, I'm gonna die if you don't get. And I love our second child, but he is a gigantic child. He's almost as tall as our 4-year-old, and he's only 2. So like, he's just a big kid. And so when he climbs on your back, you're like, yep, we're ready to go. Like, and they love it. Like they love seeing me work out. They love jumping in there. So.
For a while, Callan would run and grab some socks and shoes to put on when Jake was getting ready to work out. He'll pull out your stuff for you, or
and now they know. Like I said, I get up at early in the morning, and sometimes they'll get up with me, and they know, like, all right, it's Daddy's time to work out. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be really hard as a parent to either take the time to work out in front of your kids or be patient around them while you're working out. But some of the things I think we both have learned is like, guys, there are so many times we're working out, we're like, can you just take the kids so I can finish my workout? But there are also times where we're like, you know what? I want more than just the results of this workout. I want like this to impact my family. And so sometimes like we have the grace and the virtue to be like, it's okay. Like we'll do the push-ups modified with the kid on the back. Like, or just remembering like that we're an example to them and this is good for them to see. And then they get used to it. Like, I think when I first started coaching, I was really frustrated that Killian was crying. Killian was a very clingy baby. And Angie was like, put the kid in a pack and play and just let him cry while you work out for 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. He'll be fine. And I was like, okay, this lady has 9 kids. Like, I can do this. Now Killian just expects it. He's 4, like, 3.5 or whatever years in. And like, it's become habit. Yeah, it was a hard start. Yeah, there are hard days, but like, it is a good example for them. And they are so cute. Sometimes they'll be like, go daddy, yay daddy. And Killian, some of the things that he asks when I pick him up from schools, Mommy, did you exercise today? How was your workout today? Because it's part of our life. But yeah, I know that can be a hard thing for parents. So.
And it will translate as they get older. They will remember that, and that will be part of their life. And hopefully, as they grow up, it will become part of their families as well.
Yeah. Because
they've seen it there. I mean, they've seen it with you guys. And that's like, you've impacted generations because of it.
Yeah. And I think a huge thing that at least was a mission for me in our family was like, exercise isn't necessarily because your body needs to change because there's something wrong with it. It's not a fix. Like exercise is a habit that we have, just like prayer, just like eating vegetables, just like drinking water, just like brushing our teeth, because they're good for us and they're good for our life.
And it's great. We didn't have weights, and so they became our weights.
Yeah.
If anybody's tried to order weights now, it takes 10 years. You can have a baby before you get your weights done. That's the reality. Like, come on. Sorry,
and some of the weights, it's probably cheaper to have a baby than
Exactly.
Yeah.
So true.
Okay, I have a kind of a closing question for Jake. Do you have more ways you want to commit to your journey? Do you have more goals? Like, what is your?
I mean, so vision? I've always, I personally do have a scale goal, just because it's, for me, is a weight, and I'm actually 1.5 pounds away from that. And so like, that was like my goal when I started all this, was like, I want to get down to this weight, because to me that's a healthier weight to live than where I'm at right now. But even with that, I think I would like to get, I would like to continue the routine. I told one of my friends the other day that, I'm at 23 weeks, 26 weeks was my goal of not taking a break, straight of not weeks, Monday through Friday, 26 weeks. And then right now, food is still like something that's really an obstacle for me. Like I said, I went to the movies today with my youth group and had popcorn, and I had water. That was nice, but I still find myself just still falling into bad habits. Publix fried chicken is just too good, and just cutting some of those things out, just because it's some stuff I don't need, and implementing those in new ways, and something I don't do a very good job. I was actually just finished a grad program a month ago, and so I decided to finish after grad school. I wanted to just start reading things for myself, or doing something for myself in that time that I don't have, and I haven't quite got the chance to do that, and I don't know what that's going to look like. But I think it's really important to do something for yourself, in some kind of care, in some kind of way. Not just in exercise. I think it's personally something I just need to do for my own mental health, physical health, everything like that. And eventually I would like to not eat sweets during the week. I eat a lot of sweets. I eat a lot of sweets. Like, me and Publix, best friends right now. because it's just so it's on the way home. It's great. It's not on the way home. I actually have to go out of my way to go to Publix. I actually turned around the other day to go to Publix because I was still hungry. But that's fine. It's fine. But it's things that you just have to change, I think, in getting there. But I think my new, setting new goals in the next couple of weeks, but I want to hit 26 weeks of working out Monday through Friday, because it's something I never thought I'd go a month. But that's 6 months right there. So that's half a year right there. And I would like to.
So your new goal is a year?
This is how
it's just a
Angie, this is how you
suggestion.
don't encourage your. No, I mean, I don't have a plan to stop, so it's not necessarily, I don't ever want. Like I said, I don't expect myself to be super skinny or super fit, but I would like to be in a comfortable place. And I don't know, some of my family members have gotten to that place, and I want to be able, like when I see them, to be able to exercise with them and do things like that. So, yeah, Publix is my jam. Fried chicken, Publix subs. They have this little chocolate mousse, little like chocolate thing right there. Oh, and oh man, it's so good. Bakery section. I'm not promoting eating that kind. Oh, Keelan. See.
All right, everybody stop it. All
I
y'all.
don't think it's moment to
y'all,
share all the things
stop
we should. Just kidding.
No, listen, treats are fine. I will say, Jake is sharing about all these treats that he eats, but he also shared like he eats healthy dinners, and I pack him a fairly healthy lunch.
So the real question is, where am I lying?
No, you like the thing is like you can see progress without it being perfect.
I think that's something I would end with is like, I would say this. I strive to meet this goal and this idea of what I want to be. But being perfect is nowhere near who I am. Like, I'm never going to say I do everything perfect. I get in a workout and my favorite word is chicken nuggets, because that's my way of not using profanity around my children.
The kids will bound be like, oh, chicken nuggets.
Yeah. And I'll yell chicken nuggets, but like, because I'm so frustrated that I'm not being able to do it perfectly. But I'm doing it, like, and that's the difference. And like, I don't eat French fries for my side. I eat a salad. I don't eat, sweets every single night. I eat them every once in a while. I don't I try to take those things out. My sandwiches, if I go get a sandwich from Publix subs, I only get half a sandwich and pack it full of vegetables. Like, there's little things that I do that, even though I talk about these things and we joke, like, these are the little things that are they're not perfect. We're not going to be this perfect person, but we're able to strive for this idea of who God created us as, who we want, who we should be. So.
Yeah, awesome. I think you touched on all of my questions. So thank you so much for doing that. Does anyone have any questions? I can't tell if Sarah's gonna ask a question.
So I'll ask real quick. So I have a son who played football in college and did all this. And then, like you said, afterwards, stopped, but kept eating, and doing all of that. And where do you think you were able to take that first step as a guy? And I don't know if it's a dude thing or if it's,
Well, I'll also throw out there, I don't know if Megan's ever shared this, but I actually have a Facebook group. It's not like a normal Beachbody group, but I have a group of guys that just share. And it's one of the guys shared just weightlifting stuff. Some of the guys, but for me, it was actually a guy reaching out to me and was like, "Hey, you want to do this with me?" Was one of my motivating factors. He's a friend of mine from Louisiana that I've known forever, for 10 years. And he was just like, "Hey, I'm trying to get back into it." But I think there comes a point where it's hard. I would say it's hard with guys because I feel like we have to discover it ourselves in a way. It's we can be, she tricked me into it for so long. she would share little things each time that were
Here, eat this salad.
necessary. but at the same time, like it got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to start taking ownership of it. Like I see other people changing. I see other people doing, because I talk to guys all the time, and you guys probably, I mean, as coaches, as people who are in Detroit, probably talk to people all the time that just choose not to change the way they live. They get frustrated, but they don't want to change. But I think with guys, especially, it really has to be like, all right, I want to be the person I was. I want to get back to a place where I was, especially for people that played or athletes. Like I know that desire because I've talked to a lot of them that are like, I want to be to a place. We're never going to be who we were 10, 15 years ago, but to a place where I can actually do the things that I once did. And so I don't know the correct answer for that, but I think just like constant encouragement of like,
what about having a trainer like Sean T, he's essentially like a coach, like leading you through a workout. Is that something that's helped you? Because he won't do a female trainer.
I won't. I just, they terrify me. I don't know what it is.
He's intimidated.
Like I watch MBF and I want to go cry because she's like the female version of Shanti, but she's scarier to me. But she, for me, actually, it's funny, but I've told Megan this is like, I just connect more with a male trainer. And I don't know if it's just because visually I see, somebody I could be or something I could reach, or if I actually like, for me, that's something that's important. And I would say most guys, like there's a visual sense to it. Cause like, I would also say like, Lift 4 is another one I've only done Sean T programs. I don't know what it is. I've only done.
I think it started off as he doesn't use equipment.
He doesn't use equipment, and all his newer programs are shorter, so that's why I kind of lean towards him. But something like a Lift 4 or something like that, maybe even just suggesting it, because those are guys that are jacked and like just are somewhat endearing there. So
you're doing T25 right now.
Yeah, I did.
It's so long. I was like, you're still doing T25?
Yeah, I'm on week 9 or week 4 of beta right now of T25. There's just so much bouncing in T25.
Asylum is like an hour.
Yeah, see, I can't do an hour, unfortunately.
But it's Sean T, so maybe you could.
Yeah.
You'd like it.
Maybe there's a new workout I can do.
30-day breakaway. Oh, it's a female.
Oh, it's female.
You got it right up there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well,
do you guys want to close us in prayer?
Yeah, Jake could, because he's a youth minister.
He's a youth minister, so this is his wheelhouse. This is his groove.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys so much for letting us speak and giving Jake the opportunity. And I hope that he has helped you on your journey. And if your husband wants to share in on the tools you're using, but have some dude support, you can be a part of Jake's, he can be a part of Jake's group. I really do think the support and encouragement has made a difference for Jake, because he did Transform 20 on his own, but then his friend was like, hey, I'm going to do this program. Let's do it together. And that's why I'm a coach, is because I've seen that the support and having the community, it makes a difference. This is the only thing I know of that's like this. So even for guys, it's, to have that accountability is huge. So
yeah, and especially if you have guys in your groups that don't know how to connect, but you still want to support in some way, they're always welcome. Just literally, we just check in each day and just say, hey, this is what we're doing.
They just post their workouts and
post their workouts, and it's nice. It's nice to have that support, and we talk every once in a while. So yeah, I'll close in prayer. And Father, Son, close. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity. Lord, we thank you and praise you for the opportunity that you provide us to take care of the bodies you created, the minds that you feed each day, that you allow us to come together as a group and a community to be with you and learn how to care for your creation a little bit more. Lord, I ask you lift up everybody here and all those that are struggling, those that are suffering today in today's world, that you continue to bring them healing and life. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.